Let me ask you this. Are you ready to live with purpose, even when it's hard? Today, we're talking about defining what you truly stand for, setting goals that go beyond just success, and building the resilience to keep pushing forward. This is your year. And think of this as your roadmap to creating a legacy that's more than just a title or a paycheck. If you're ready to bring intention into every decision and see your work as a way to make a difference, then stay with us. This episode is all about taking those daily steps to connect purpose to action and turn your life into something lasting, something that truly matters.
And the crowd goes wild. You know, I love these sorts of topics. For me, relentless progress and failure and success and all of those things are bundled together. But I guess you probably wanted me to introduce myself. My name's David Tucker, the fantastic co-host of Embers Rising with the beautiful Miss Wendy Jae.
Well, and officially welcome then to episode 38. We are excited to have you, and today, we're really unlocking the winter warrior mindset, which is the perfect time to do this right now. You know, this is really all about finding the strength to work with purpose, even when things get tough. And this episode isn't just about motivation. It's about creating a legacy that's built from deep values, meaningful goals, and the grit to keep going, because you got to have the grit. So let's dive in, Dave.
Yeah, first of all, why winter, right? Why is it winter warrior and not spring or summer or fall or some other sort of warrior?
I think winter warrior is the perfect analogy for this episode, because this is the time where it feels like you just want to get comfortable. And I think comfortable is the time where you don't grow. And comfortable is cozy, and you don't do all the adventures because, or maybe you do, maybe it's just different. You know, a lot of people get out and do like ice climbing and winter adventures out there. Ice blocking, is that a thing?
Ice blocking could be a thing, yeah.
But anyway, I think that winter is the perfect time to create growth, because you have this dedicated schedule now that kids are in school and you are doing your daily whatever job you have, and you're working through your passions. And this is the time. So this is why I like to call it the winter warrior mindset, because this is like, get ready, let's go.
And for a lot of people, this is the weight gain challenge season, right?
It is.
Where they're a different type of warrior, right? They're like a consumption warrior.
True.
You got your turkeys, you got your hams, you got your roast beef, all those things protein. So they're not a problem. It's all the other things that go with them.
That's a really good point, and I want to dive into that. But first of all, I've got to acknowledge our listeners. So thank you for pressing play today. We know who you are, by the way. Whether you're an adventure athlete pushing physical limits, an adventure couple growing together, we see you guys. And an entrepreneur taking bold steps, a content creator creating and sharing stories, or a business leader bringing big visions to life. You're here because, hey, listen, you're ready to align your work with a greater purpose. And that's powerful. Your commitment to this journey fuels us to keep creating content that inspires impact, growth, and resilience. So we're super fired up and grateful that you're part of this community with us. So thank you for pressing play today and hanging out with David and I. Yeah, we got to acknowledge that. So we're fired up about that. There's so many things.
I love it. Whatever season you're going through, right? It could be personal goals, business goals. You could have a health challenge, a relationship challenge.
Yeah.
And a lot of people having money challenges, those sorts of things.
Yeah, for sure.
So this is a great season to not let all of those things get worse in your life, because if you don't do anything, it's going to get worse.
It is, yeah.
Or it's going to metastasize into something you don't like. So winter warrior, we've always been winter warriors. Like, this is the season every year where we start to plan, and we start to execute. And by the time December comes around, like, we know the big parts, the big moving
picture.
parts of what's going to happen the next year.
Well, listen, if you didn't catch our last episode, we talked about creating your own life manifesto. We've had 2 episodes that were similar, but the last one, which I think was episode 37, talked about actually building your life manifesto. So check it out and go to the links in the description, because we actually have a walkthrough on how to do that. And then we also share our life manifesto with you so you can kind of see how we lay it out. It doesn't have to be a big deal. And yeah, I want to say a secret about that, but I'm not going to because I want to stay focused on this episode, but a secret just came to me about that. Anyway,
what is
check
it?
out.
I want to know. What is the secret?
You want to know the secret?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so when we created the Life Manifesto, David and I were talking about how can we get this into our brains every day, not just through visualizations and making a video out of it, which is pretty cool, but we talked about recording it, making a recording of us speaking it ourselves. So he does his version, I do my version, you use your own words, and then you press play when you're getting ready for the day. You press play when you're getting ready for the day, and you can relentlessly every day hit that vision play, because that is like drilling it into your brain of like already living the big new picture of your life manifesto.
And so when you have it all planned out, you're not actually hitting play, you're hitting day, right?
Yeah.
Like you hit the day.
Done.
Time
this is
to hit
already
it running.
happening.
So I just had to ask Wendy to share that. She spends so much time with Brendan Kane, she starts to think in hooks.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh man, this is going to be incredible. Anyway, and I'm like, no, you're not getting away with that.
Yeah. So, okay, a couple of shout outs before we dive into this incredible Winter Warrior mindset. We had a post called Bored of Basic Conversations. Unlock Pixar's secret to deeper connections. This was really cool. This is all about inviting you to join us for the Speak to Connect cohort group. And if you're not a part of it, go check it out on my website, wendyj.com. Speak to Connect. We would love to work with you. A Digital Academy says, I want to say AG, a digital. I don't know how to say it. Is it? I don't know. A Digital Academy says, sounds great. Visual Baruri. I'm just saying horrible names, you guys, handles here. Darn, you got Kay to turn these awkward silences into creating real engaging conversations. That's awesome. And then we actually did a live with a student who went through Speak to Connect program with us. And Robust Physical Therapy says, it's incredible how powerful effective communication can be for building relationships. Don't miss the opportunity, everyone. Hey man, thanks Robust Physical Therapy. That's so cool that you kind of pitched us out there. I really appreciate that. And then Jessie B says, thanks for letting me join you guys. I know how powerful the Speak to Connect program is because I've seen how much it's helped me with my relationships and my business. I wish everyone knew this information. It's a must for anyone who talks to humans, which is everyone, LOL. But this seriously cannot thank you guys enough for this information. It's the best life cheat code to know. Man, great thoughts, Jessie.
I love the use of cheat codes. We think of it as cheating, right? But cheat codes are sometimes just a way to get to the next level quicker. And that's what Speak to Connect is, right?
Communication.
It is a ultimate cheat code on how to get to the next level of communication with the people you love or want to do business with in a more meaningful and faster way.
Yeah, that's really good. And then our last one was we had a kind of an old short that we had, an old short that revamped about creating vision together and time blocking. And it was called, I guess, just time blocking. So anyway, David Young, he's been with us forever. He says, this is something I need to get better at. David, we all need to get better at this. We agree. We are with you. We are constantly every week tweaking our time blocking all the time, making sure we can get in everything that we want to get in. So, and that's why we're here with you today, creating this episode. We had an opportunity to do this earlier in the week and it just didn't happen. So we were like, we have to get this out to our listeners. We are so dedicated to you that we want to make it happen. So here we are.
I love it. I mean, there is more things to do than there are in the days right now. And so we had to push this off a couple days.
Yeah, we did.
So we'll do some back-to-back episodes. When is this episode going out? When will people be listening to this?
Yeah, you guys, you will get this soon. It's going to be, I can't give you the exact date, but yeah, it's coming out soon. Yeah.
After Thanksgiving?
Don't ask me this, Dave, right in the middle of it. I don't want to switch screens. And Dave's like, just give me the date of this release.
I must know because it's irrelevant.
I mean, it doesn't even matter because you guys will already be listening to it. So here, Dave and I are just bashing around. It's going to be released on December 4th. So yeah, there you go. A couple of things.
I'll sing a Christmas carol.
For life updates is where we're at. We always share like our foundation training, like where we at with training, and that actually truly is where we're at. I just said the word foundation. We are really back to basics now. We are back to foundation building, cross training, rebuilding, and maintaining what we've been for endurance runners, trail runners.
Yeah, it's sort of that winter season where it's not always convenient to go outside. We forced it this weekend, right?
Yeah.
It was 30 some odd degrees.
33.
It was sunny out and there was snow in the mountains. So it was a beautiful run, but it's hard to get motivated for a lot of the things that you want to do as a winter warrior.
Yeah.
Just because of the time, the weather, the darkness. I don't know. And for some people, that season sets in and you just feel slow and you want to put a sweater and sweatpants on and binge Netflix and eat potato chips, all of things that I love. But I don't think that's what we're going to talk about. So yeah, our days have been foundational, moved indoors. And that's a good thing. So I'm getting more time on the road bike.
We are pushing ourselves for outdoor adventures, though, every weekend. We are trying to at least get one day outdoor for a big run, which is like a 2 to 3 hour run up there to keep our trail legs. So
now we have to move to the afternoon sometimes. Like
Yes.
we're morning people when it comes to that. First thing, roll out of bed, put on, lace them up, and go for a run. So it's not really convenient now. And it's weird, right? To like say, okay, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon after your lunch is settled, I'm going for
3 hour run.
A run, yeah.
Well, the other thing we'd like to share with you is what we're learning through AI. If you didn't know, Dave and I are taking an AI mastery class. It's like an advanced class with Mind Valley. They are incredible for AI teaching and who they're bringing in to teach us. This very small percentage of people around the world are learning what we're learning. And this last couple of classes that we were taking was talking about creating your communication assistants through GPT. That was really incredible. We talked about using GPT for heavy data analysis, which was yesterday's lesson. And last week we were really working with app building with a tool called Glide. It is a very cool tool for app building, very simple tool that anyone can use. It's a no-code app builder. So if you're interested, check it out. And these are things that we're going to be sharing with you, which reminds me, if you are interested in getting the AI updates and talking about adventure training and business strategies, hey, our goal is to bring you a ton of value. So please get on our email list. You can go to wendyj.com to get on our email list, and you will be added to our sweet value-packed, energy-sparked newsletters.
Ooh.
There we go.
They had a lot of adjectives
Yeah,
associated with it. So yeah, I'm loving the AI stuff. On the programming side, you're way ahead of me for sure. I'm mostly interested in developing business ideas. One of the cool things we're doing is developing custom GPTs for our clients around their brand, mission, message, sales avatars, and then all of their ad data, all of their content, like all of their keywords. And it comes out with this incredible pre-programmed machine for your marketing. And yeah, it's plug and play. Anybody on their team can use it. And all of a sudden, you would go to GPT and ask for social media ideas, and it just gives you random stuff. This knows it's locked on. It knows exactly what you want to do. Just
remember that AI, ChatGPT, is very robust, and the ones that will be good are the ones that know the prompts. So if you want the prompts, join our newsletter because we will give you the prompts. We have the prompts.
And I'm not disagreeing, but it's not only the prompts; it's the background data, right?
Oh, for
and
sure.
So you can be an expert prompter, but if you're prompting into just the entire large language model, like you're getting all kinds of reverberations back instead of just narrowly focusing it down to your mission.
What you want.
And that's what we're talking about today. Our mission of being winter warriors. Like we should have a winter warrior GPT.
Yes, I love it. Well, the other thing that's happening right now that's very real time is we are reconnecting with old friends. This is the time where people's training has kind of backed down and they're making time to connect. And we are making that happen this week. We're also reaching out for new relationships. So that's been really cool for us because we're putting ourselves in, we are a part of a lot of different groups. And so we are putting ourselves out there, making personalized videos, introducing ourselves of who we are, what we do, what we can offer, what value we can bring. And that's all part of the winter warrior mindset is making these changes, doing the things that are uncomfortable and also making time for people, just to let people know like, hey, here we are. So I think that's important. Do you want me to dive in, Dave?
Yeah, let's dive in. But I want to ask a question.
Yeah.
So your winter warriorness last winter, what was your focus?
I don't remember my focus. I think I was on survival mode from a very heavy year of setbacks. So I think that even though we had built our new vision board, it didn't have the clarity that we do today. So I don't remember.
Now, I know process communication model was definitely one of them
Yes.
last winter because we both became certified trainers in PCM.
And yeah.
I agree. A lot of life happened last year that we used to, for lack of a better way of saying it, use as excuses to get in the way of what our mission was. And that's not a knock, right? That happens to all of us, the best of us. We had people in our family that we loved die. We had like a business. Like we just had a lot of things going on, and everybody does.
Yeah.
But that's part of the warrior mindset, right? Is like trying to rise to the moment even when the moment sucks.
We had a lot of setbacks last year. And when Dave just asked me that question, I was thinking through what our focus was. And I think my focus was to just heal and survive and get through what we needed to, because we spent a lot of time taking care of family and then ourselves from a partnership that didn't work out. So I think we were also, sometimes you just need a break. And a lot of the focus was on taking a break to reevaluate, to be able to rebuild. So
I love that your answer was real, right? Because it could have been easy to say a lot of things. You listen to a lot of podcasts and people just
glaze over,
right?
Yeah.
It's all good. And that's just not the way life is for anyone, even the people that are talking that way online.
That's why you're here with us, with Dave and I. We're breaking it down.
We had the challenges. For me last winter, my other focus in addition to PCM was running, right? I just committed to running on January 2nd because you had already scheduled a couple of things for us. One was a half marathon, which I'd never run. The other was the Grand Canyon, which I knew I needed to be in shape to run. And here we are today.
Yeah.
I love it. So what is your winter warriorness look like for this winter? Do you have a plan?
We do, and I want to break it down as we go through these lessons, I think.
Okay, cool.
So if we could do that, that would be amazing, because I kind of compacted this in a very easy way for you all to get, so it's not long and drawn out. And I decided to create 3 really main lessons around creating your winter warrior mindset. So if you're driving in your car, listening to this in the gym, walking and listening to us, washing the dishes, hanging out with your kids, hopefully not listening to this while you're hanging out with your kids, because you should be with your kids very presently. But whatever you're doing, let's dive into lesson number 1, which is really clarifying your core values to guide your path. And I say that because when you know your core values, you're building the foundation for a life and work that leaves a meaningful legacy. Like, values are your guiding lights, helping you make the choices to align every destiny, to help you make that impact. Values aren't just words, because we hear a lot of words. They are really the commitments to yourself, that it's shaping your daily actions, it's shaping your daily habits, that you're going all in on, that you're making decisions on, that you're creating relationships from. That's values. And sometimes people get wrapped up and they think, I don't know what my values are. So do not turn to GPT and say, what are my values? Because it's going to spit out random values.
But I will say it is a useful exercise to
It
go
is.
to GPT and say, what are the core human values or human value drivers that are most common out there? Give me the top 20. And all of a sudden it sort of crystallizes. You're like, oh, I see why these are values.
It's true. And if you're feeling a bit lost, and I wanted to share some powerful values that could spark some inspiration based off our listeners here, so they had an idea that you can start thinking about. Because sometimes you may have values that you think is a value, but you hadn't thought of something else as a value. And I think breaking that down, because sometimes we're like, well, what's a value? Is it my religion? Is it just like a belief? But it's more than that. You have to really break that down. So do you have some things to share, Dave? Or do you want me to?
No, continue. Of course, I'm going to ask you what your top value is, because I think they have to stack. You have to have at least one at the top. You can't have these 5 things are my top values. For me, it really comes down to this is number 1, this is number 2, this is number 3, and have some priority.
I think health is my number 1 value.
Wait, that's my answer. And so why is health your highest value?
Because if you're not healthy, you cannot operate for yourself or anyone else around you. So I do feel like you have to prioritize your health. And so many of us do not. Majority of us do not. It takes a warrior in a mental game to prioritize your health.
I agree 100%. I think I did say around your mom that health was my highest value above my work, above spirituality, above Wendy. And of course, your mom is like, what? But the fact of the matter is, I've been unhealthy before, and you can't be there for the people you love. You can't be there for your business, your team, your church, any of those things. You know, when your health is taken away, you're disabled. And so much of your health is in the palm of your hands with the choices you make, the actions you take.
Every day.
So, Winter Warrior, health is number one for me also.
I agree. And so I just want to give our listeners some concepts of some values that you may even want to adopt into your life. So if you're an adventurer, which we know a lot of you listeners are destination influencers out there that are traveling, embrace the curiosity. Take the bold steps outside your comfort zones. Whether you're in the travels or in the relationship, because we know a lot of you are couples that are traveling, and that's a value, really embrace that curiosity and go outside the comfort zones together, whatever you're doing. A value can also be in your growth space when you commit to continuous self-improvement and learning. And I think a lot of us don't even think about that, David, where we're like, is self-development like a value? Yes, it is. Absolutely. Recognizing that each experience, whether it's a success or a setback, is a stepping stone. That's a value. So growth is a value. Authenticity, showing up as your true self. As Dave and I do here with you on this podcast, we are showing up and interacting with you, building a very legacy based on our honesty and transparency. And I think that's a value. I think that's a great value, is showing up just in your authentic self. Resilience, I wrote down. Resilience, dedicating yourself to standing firm during the challenges and viewing obstacles as growth opportunities. And the reason I wrote resilience down, Dave, is because of last year. We had a lot of setbacks, and there's a lot of things that could crumple you and discourage us from never moving forward and just giving up and just saying, I can't be the entrepreneur that I want to be. I can't do all the things I want to do because of XYZ happened. So this is the time where if you're in a challenge right now, this is the time to view that as that obstacle, knowing that it's okay. You're going to get through it. You will come out on the other side, and now use it as a growth opportunity and take it forward. That's a value. I also wrote down 3 other ones. Connection. Connection is a value because prioritizing building deep relationships, meaningful relationships with others, does create that legacy of support for yourself and understanding, and it creates that empathy. So I think that's important when we talk about value, is connection. And then my other one here was service, finding ways to contribute to others' well-beings. This is why we're here with you guys. We believe in sharing what we're learning constantly and being here to move through your journey with you. It's a miracle that we're all waking up every day and we have the opportunity to even listen to a podcast and pressing play. So our service is through our work, through our business, through our personal actions, creating the deeper relationships, creating positive ripples in this world for you. And then what Dave said, which was last on my list, which is first on my personal list, but was last on my physical list, was my health. Creating that health is a top priority. And a lot of us are in a position where we're doing a lot of other things. In fact, I just met a friend who is a caretaker for his wife, and he has really not prioritized his own health. And I feel bad about that. And he needs to be reminded that he's just as important, because sometimes you prioritize the other half with whatever they're going through, their challenge, and you forget about yourself. And your journey is your own as well. Even in relationship, like David and I are together, but you know what? Our journeys are also individualized,
I like to say that we're independently codependent, right?
I like that.
I think that's a really good way to wrap around a successful marriage, because you got to act as a unit, but you got to be comfortable and happy as an individual. And so I like what you're saying here. I was just writing some notes. And so, I think that when you know your core values, you're building the foundation for life, and that creates a more memorable legacy, right? Like it's that guiding light where it makes it easier to make decisions when things come up, because you've got that feedback, in your head, like, is this in alignment with how I want to build my life in terms of my values, right? My core values. So I hear the little alarm bell go off when I decide, hey, it's time for a candy bar, or this weekend I want a bottle of wine, those sorts of things. I'm not saying those things are bad, right? But they are not absolutely in alignment with my core value of health. And so I'm keenly aware of that. But I like, if I'm going to run 15 miles, give me a break. I want a candy bar. So,
Well, when our alarm goes off at 4:30 a.m. in the morning, it's pretty hard to say, if we don't have a value to attach that to 4:30 a.m. wake up call, because our values are driven by the clarity that we have with the goals. So like I said at the very beginning, this reminds me of the movie Abominable, where the boy was eating the blueberries and he had to go through that like maze forest and he was like all over the place. Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
That reminds me of not having like your values and goals really clear. You're all over the place. But when you know absolute, like, I am going to lose this weight, I will get to the gym, my wake up time is this, and I am not going to look at my phone and socialize. I am going to get up, I'm going to get myself out of the bed, I'm putting my clothes on, and I'm driving to the gym. That's a value. You're creating that value, and you believe in that for yourself. Amen. I have to say that because that is like, yes, let's go.
And then, since it's your value, it overrides that, thought that you need motivation, or you need dedication, or you need these external drivers, right? Like, I hate getting up and working out sometimes, but I do it because that was the commitment to myself, and it's highly in alignment with the core value of health, right? So get up and do the work, embrace the suck. And sometimes, right, it's the thing that actually is the lever that changes the attitude of, I dread this day, to like, all right, now I'm energized. I got that out of the way. I checked that off my list.
You feel so good when you get it done. Like a lot of our values are wrapped around our business as well. Creating podcast episodes and training as trail endurance athletes, and creating coaching programs and building services for our clients, and consulting, and creating service products like Short Star Video. These are all goals, services, but they're driving our values to show up every day, to pursue and get it done and get it out there to you. So a couple of little things I want to share with you is, if you don't know your values, I hope that this inspired you to think maybe a couple of these could be your values, because that's really important. If you're lost, you've got to know your values to create the right path. And they have to be non-negotiable. So when we look at the week, we could totally say, we're not going to do this and just make it a negotiable thing. But we don't. We're saying this is non-negotiable. We are getting this workout in. We are going to shoot this episode. We are going to launch this business. We are going to, this XYZ. So think about what matters to you most in yourself, your relationships, your work, and your life. Write those values down. Secondly, review your recent decisions and your activities. Do they reflect the values? Are you taking the action? If not, pinpoint where's the gap. And then third, identify one or two changes you want to make to bring into your life. Identify on that list what are other values you maybe need to add into yourself, or maybe they need to be tweaked so they're more in alignment with who you are today. Because sometimes we can have old values, old goals, that aren't just really in alignment. So if you're feeling stuck, start by asking, what do I want to be remembered for? Remember, we're talking about legacy. This is more than a title and a paycheck. Who do I want to impact? How do I want to impact? All of your content creators out there that are messaging us, all of you guys that are couples that are creating incredible content, that are going to incredible destinations, we see you. Let these questions guide your values, shape your unique path to legacy. Because it's more than just that. It's more than just traveling and making incredible content. It's more than just being a content creator. It's more than just being a business leader. What is your legacy? What is your unique path to it? And everybody's path is unique. Everybody's path is unique. No one has the exact same path of how they got there.
That's for sure. One thing I do observe is a lot of people create a list of values, goals, however you want to frame that are within inside their comfort zone, right? And what they really want out of life is outside of their comfort zone, but it's so stressing to think about making that stretch, making that change, doing that thing that is so uncomfortable that they negotiate with themselves, and they negotiate themselves into something that's easy, right?
It's true.
And is that really your highest and best self? Is that really the value that you envisioned, right? When it comes to health, right? It's, it took me years, right? It took me over 3 years to lose 60 pounds. And I wouldn't have gotten there if it wasn't for having that value, right? Because most people, like, you lose 20 pounds and you're like, I'm good. And then you go back to doing the same thing that you always do, and it's back and forth. So that's what I think.
Yeah, agreed.
Get outside your comfort zone. And that sounds so cliche, but it rings so true.
I want to dive into lesson number 2 because it has a lot of purpose. And we're talking about purpose-driven work. Setting impact-driven goals beyond traditional paths. And there are a lot of traditional paths, David, as you know, to go. But when you're setting goals that go beyond personal success, service is a greater purpose. You're on the path of building that legacy that lasts. Impact-driven goals give depth to your journey. These aren't just achieving a milestone. They're about creating a positive ripple that reaches beyond yourself and touches other. Whether you're an athlete, whether you're an entrepreneur, creator, your legacy can grow through goals that serve others and contribute to something meaningful. And I did write down some impact-driven goals, but I want to ask you, Dave, what do you feel are your impact-driven goals right now?
Well, and I mean, obviously, in terms of health, there's both personal and then my desire to uplift people outside of me that I see are hurting. And I'm working toward that goal. Obviously, we have some big goals in terms of our business and what we need to do financially. And I think just, sharing the way I have changed a lot of my habits and my direction. I've come from a background of like trying everything in life, right? And when you try everything, sometimes you get some bad results. And so I've learned from that, and maybe sharing that with people.
Yeah, I think that's really important.
And just leading, right? Like actually doing the thing that you said you would do, long after the mood you set it in has left you. That sort of becomes that commitment, right? Commitment always sounds good over a couple of beers, but then the next day, it's like it's time to go to work and get real about it.
I agree. And for those who are unsure where to start, I want to share some ideas because let's just dive in. If I'm just going to share, because I know who our listeners are, and some of you are adventure athletes. So if you're thinking, well, what could be my legacy if I'm an adventure athlete? Organize a community challenge. Organize a charity race where people push their limits together. We've seen it. We've done them. Do a fundraiser that is for a cause that's close to your heart. I mean, do something that maybe you consistently do every year. And now you're creating a legacy because people are counting on you to be there and you're running the show for that. That could be fun. For adventure couples, I wrote down, document your relationship growth to inspire others. You guys are out there traveling the world. We see you. You're DMing us. We're seeing that. Make that part of your legacy. Offer guidance and resilience and connection for you guys traveling all over the world, creating this incredible content and sharing it for other couples. Maybe they want to do the same thing as you, but they don't even know how to get started. So that could be part of your legacy. For entrepreneurs, for small business leaders, create a program, create a mentorship program, create an internship, create something that empowers young professionals to get started doing something or takes them to next level, especially for those that are in underrepresented communities, to learn and grow in your field. So that could be a legacy builder. Content creators, use your platform to share valuable resources like you're already doing, but maybe you're not doing enough. Maybe you're just creating content that's not really touching the next person through that lens. So really think about how you can advocate for a cause, how you could highlight voices that need a wider audience. And then for community leaders, I wrote down, maybe your legacy is establishing local partnerships. Maybe your legacy is building volunteer events. Maybe your legacy is building a network that addresses, a pressing issue in the community. You are waking up every day with the opportunity to do whatever. So make this more than a title or a paycheck. And I love that. Make this more than a title or a paycheck. Make this your legacy.
And your legacy may just be raising happy, healthy kids, right?
Absolutely. It could just be that.
That's definitely it. And let's not just say just that, right? That's
for sure
a huge legacy to leave for the world.
You know, when I think about us, I think about building a community. I think about serving others through our content. I think about serving others through our communication coaching, serving others through our business scaling coaching. I think of being part of communities, of ultra running communities. I think of being part of communities in Hawaii that we absolutely love and be a part of. So building a legacy, you know, this is all about your purpose-driven goals to the path that creates to the legacy. So that's really what was lesson number 2 was all about. Think of a way that your work could uplift someone else. You know, what's the one thing that you can give or teach or share that would make a meaningful impact? You know, start there, because that's where the legacy is seeded to start blossoming to something else.
And even with our work, right, our digital marketing agency, it's so incredible to think that we help those businesses scale, and we work with their employees, right? We work with their team. And we know that our work is directly and indirectly helping them support their families and live a better life and grow, and have the people that we work with meet their goals and meet their values, right? And help them to think a little bit different. So no matter what you do from a work standpoint, you really are leaving a legacy, and it just depends how you view that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I know Tom Bilyeu and Lisa Bilyeu, I love their impact theory, and it reminds me to, you know, leave an impact. Leave an impact. That's so powerful. You know, you have the opportunity, again, to show up every day. So that was lesson number 2. Anything else you want to add to that, Dave?
No, I love it.
All right, moving into lesson number 3. This is important because this is where, you know, David asked me at the beginning of the episode, why do you call this the winter warrior mindset? You know, a lot of us are burnt out towards the end of the year. We've had a heavy year. There's been a lot that's taken on, whether it's physical challenge, you've done Moab 240, you've done 200s races, whatever you're doing, and you are burnt out. I mean, even thinking about foundational building is like, I'm not right now. No, I can't do it. So this is where I talk about building a resilient mindset, aligning your actions, and really embracing the journey. So when you're thinking about building a legacy, you know, it's not a single achievement. It's not like, oh, I did it. It's one thing. This is a series of intentional actions fueled by resilience and patience. It is that Moab 240, you know? When challenges arise, they don't mean you're on the wrong path. They're actually part of it. And last year, I think about the way that I phrase last year's setback was just a challenge for me to move around it. Okay, great. Now I learned from it. You know, it's about showing up each day with purpose and making small, meaningful moves over time to get over the hump.
And it builds resilience, right? And resilience is the path to purpose often.
Yeah.
And so those setbacks, like, I look at them, sometimes they hurt deeply, but I know I grow in that space because that's my mindset, right?
Yeah.
That's like mindset growth is one of my top values. So sometimes you got to look at things and say, how is this bad thing, you know, maybe the worst thing that's ever happened to you, in some way, shape, or form, one of the best things that's ever happened to you, because you get that resilience lesson that you can move forward. And that's something that you can share with people that are inevitably going to go through that same thing or something that's similar to it. And that's a fantastic legacy, right? The people that I have coached with that have taught me and shared with me those lessons of resilience, you know, I can't thank them enough, because when it comes up, I'm like, all right, I have some tools that I'm equipped with to move forward in this space.
And sometimes you need people to push you. And this is why Dave and I are big about coaches. You need people to push you outside your comfort zone, because we're like, oh yeah, we're creating this and this. And they're like, yeah, and have you done this? We're like, well, no. And it's like, oh, okay, I kind of need to do that. So this is why we love coaches, because they push outside your comfort zone. I love coaches. I can't wait to bring on my next coaches. I'm so excited about that. But I think, you know, when we're talking about really aligning our actions in these impactful, driven purpose work to create a legacy, this is important. Every day matters. How you're showing up, you know, think about it. Have you ever had a conversation? I know you have. Have you ever? I'm not even going to say that. Let me just say this differently. When you have a conversation with someone, think about what you just talked about and how you shared your message to them and how it could have been differently. Like, are you just sharing like your woes, or are you saying, man, these are the cool things that are going on for me right now? Like, what if you changed your mindset and the way you're verbalizing everything? A lot of those woes can be saved for your journal. You don't need to share that because you are making an impression every day when you're verbalizing, like, man, this is where I'm at. I am so stoked. I am doing this, and I'm super excited about this, and I'm taking action in all of these. I wish I was doing this. I'm not there yet, but I'm going to do this. I have it on my list to get done. That is a little more powerful conversation.
For sure, but there's people that love to wallow in the woes
Yes,
of life, right?
I know.
And we all know that person. We've even become comfortable
I've
with
been guilty of it.
sharing our woes because that's their language, right?
Yeah.
Like fear and worry and negativity, that's the language that excites them. And the second you tell them the positive things in your life, you're all of a sudden, you're like, I don't think they're listening to me. Now they're looking at their phone,
like,
right?
what?
And then they just wander off into the woods because it doesn't feed them where they're at. And that can be a difficult thing, especially if it's someone who's close to you.
So once you create your value list and you know your goals, now it's time to like take the action to make it happen. Every day you wake up at your time and you like work on it. You build the consistency, you build the resilience to do it, even when times are tough. And this is like a tough time a lot through the winter. The winter months may not be your favorite month. I do not love winter. And it is hard for me to personally get through, mostly because of the weather. I just don't enjoy being cold. I kind of been there, done that. I used to be a ski instructor and I was like, I'm kind of tired of just freezing on the chairlifts and taking kids out and teaching them skiing, Then I fell in love with scuba diving. I'm like, oh, there's a tropical world out here. Wow. Why am I giving myself to just freezing in like 15 layers of clothes?
Well, I hear you, right? I lived in Southern California, and then when I met you, lived in Hawaii, and I told myself, no more winter. Like, I hate it. I hate winter. Just like I used to tell myself, I hate running. I hate it.
But you can embrace it.
So we started running, and it was like January, February. It was in Hawaii, so it seemed like magical until we got back here, and it was 22 degrees.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, I'm not going to tell myself I hate it anymore. I'm going to tell myself I love it. And myself said, you're lying. And they would say, you're lying. And they would say, maybe you're not lying. And then a month later, it's waking me up saying, hey, let's go for a run. And I'm like, well, it is the same 22 degrees out. So your mind sometimes, not your mind, but your brain doesn't know the difference between the truth and a lie. So you've got to feed it the direction that you want it to go, and it will fall into line.
That's very, very, very true. So coming back to that, we've had some setbacks, and it is really important to continue your winter warrior mindset. And I'm going to take a pause right now. Big pause here. Is that the landscapers?
I'm sure it is.
So the landscapers showed up, and we had to take a quick pause in the episode for me to we're so sorry, but we're back. And I want to dive back into the action steps for everyone, talking about, if that's okay, Dave.
That's fine. It's almost like this thing is real, like it's really happening to us now.
Right. So anyway, we're talking about aligning your actions and embracing the journey. And I want to just remind you of some action steps to build resilience, because when a challenge arises this week, really pause and reframe it as a growth opportunity. Write down what you can learn from it. And remember that resilience is built on one challenge at a time, because a lot of people ask, what do you mean resilience? What's resilience? Every time you hit a challenge and you overcome it, that's resilience. You're building it one after another. And every day, it seems like we all have a micro challenge. It may not be a major challenge, but little micro challenges come up. So it's just how you attack that.
Yeah. And I just want to say that loop, right? That resilience loop builds the competence that you need in any aspect of your life or business. And that's what builds the confidence. And so it's this self-fulfilling prophecy where you continue to bump into things, you gain more knowledge, you gain more skills, you gain more confidence, and then boom, you move to the next level. And so true impact and legacy, it takes time to build.
It does.
And there are ways to speed it up, but you need to have the patience and not expect that it's going to be like one shot and it's over, right? Hey, I did the thing and I was successful the first time, because speaking from experience, the failure to success ratio is a lopsided thing. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So that's the build resilience part of it, to take action step. The next is aligning your daily action. So every morning, one small step purpose-driven action, just like David's saying, moves you closer to the legacy. So remember, when you hit the alarm, whatever your alarm is, our alarm's at 4:30 a.m. So we have values and goals that we're waking up to. We also have an impact that we want to make for ourselves and our business and for you. So we want to show up for that. So track your progress at the end of the day and stay connected to your goals. And when I say track your progress at the end of the day, hit your journal, man, and just say, did I do the thing? Did I do the thing? Or ask when you go to bed, did I do the thing? I think that's important. Just to stay connected to your goals, right? You want to stay connected. Sometimes so many things hit us in so many different ways throughout the day. Those things end up driving our day and you go to bed exhausted. You're not asking yourself, did I hit the goal? You're exhausted. You're hitting your head on the pillow and you're out. But I think it's important to stay conscious and ask yourself, did I hit the goal? So, and then number three, my take action number 3 was embrace the journey. Like Dave said, it does take patience. So take a moment to reflect on your progress, celebrate the small wins, acknowledge every step forward, knowing that it is part of something bigger and it does take time. Ask yourself, what's one small action I can take today that aligns with my purpose? And how can I see today's challenges as steps towards bigger impact?
Yeah.
How can I see those as a bigger impact?
Focus on the steps, right? Like everybody focuses on the destination. And I think it's important to write down the outcome that you want and then just push it aside and focus on the steps from the destination back to today, right? And then just focus on the steps, check them off, take those, micro wins and build a legacy.
Yeah.
Build something incredible.
So the takeaways for you today is know your core values. Use them as your compass to make decisions. They got to align with your purpose. Set impact-driven goals. Set impact-driven goals. That means choose the goals that serve a greater purpose. Build resilience. Just talked about that. Treat challenges as growth opportunities. And then align daily actions with purpose. Wake up, make a purposeful decision that supports your big picture vision. And be patient. Dave just said that because true impact takes time, man. So embrace the journey and celebrate each small victory, which I have a hard time, honestly, celebrating because I just feel like I did this thing, and I just want to be better. But it's important to celebrate. Do you want to add to that?
No, I just, I observe it all the time, and that is you have so many micro steps in a day, right? And you've got them scheduled out. I don't mean you, I mean all of us.
All of us.
And you get like 19 of them done, but you had 20, and you beat yourself up at the end of the day because you didn't get all 20 done, right? And the fact of the matter is you have an unlimited number of steps and a limited number of times. So celebrate the wins, the things that you did do, because that will be the fuel to get you up and get you out of bed the next day and keep going, right? And if you start to always focus on what didn't happen, pretty soon your mind's like, why even bother? Why get out of bed? Why try?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. So let's wrap it up because first of all, thank you for being here. And listen, if you have any questions related to setting purpose-driven goals or building resilience, leave us a DM, leave a comment wherever you're watching or listening this on. And we want to invite our listeners to share your stories and also suggest a future episode theme. We are looking at 2025 themes. We're looking at what we want to go after. And maybe you have something that we should, or a guest that you have in mind for us to bring on. We would love that. We are a new podcast, so anything that you can do to help us grow would be amazing. And stay tuned for the next episode because in episode 39, we're going to be talking about shedding the old version of yourself. And this is powerful. It does kind of align with this one, but it is different. And I always kind of think about this when you want something new, if you want a new piece of clothing, that's exactly what we're going to be talking about. So I'm going to wrap this down, land the plane, and say thank you for joining us today on this deep dive into the Winter Warrior mindset. Remember, building a legacy isn't about one big achievement. It's about showing up with purpose every single day. And if you found this episode helpful, please rate us on Spotify. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts. We really want to read your review. And share it with someone who's ready to make their work and life count, So you can follow me at on Instagram at mswendyj.com. You can follow me on my website, wendyj.com. And for any more insights and tips and strategies that we are going to put together for you, join our newsletter, which we just launched. We're super fired up about that. And until next time, keep fueling your embers rising. We know they're inside. And as always, at the end of our podcast, we like to just give you a little shout out to yourself and say, aloha.
Aloha.